Hi guys, I hope that you're doing well. It's me again. Before I start on this new moon discussion, I just wanted to say that I'm so glad to be back to YouTube, and I feel like I'm coming out of this hibernation period, and so is my channel. We're coming back from like the dead, And I find that to be really awesome. For a long time, I was like, I don't know what I want to post, I don't know if I want to do different kinds of divination videos, if I just want to do like witchy videos, or if I want to do astrology, if I want to do a mix, what do I want to do, And I ended up just following my passion this time around, and it seems to be working for you guys. You seem to be liking the new content, and I really want to stick to it for good now because it's me. This is me. I am passionate about astrology. Tarot has been a source of income, right, for a long time. So has astrology, actually. I do have a lot of clients that I work with. However, I have never actually opened my channel to it, if that makes sense. Or I've never really stuck to it on my channel, and now I am. So I'm very excited for all the future content, astrological content, and yeah, thank you for sticking around, and thank you for supporting me and giving me good feedback, because it is very important. So now let's move on to this new moon. It is a contradicting new moon this time because, well, first of all, let's just talk about the energy of the new moon in a fire sign that is a cardinal fire sign, right? So usually with cardinal signs we take action, and with Aries, with a fire sign, there's definitely action there, a lot of action, a lot of ambition, a lot of fire going on. However, it seems like with this new moon we can't just quite take that action yet. And of course, when it is a new moon, that means it's a new beginning, right? So we are entering some kind of a new cycle in our life where we need to act. While this is true for this new moon, I would also like to add that it's actually conjunct Chiron and Mercury. I don't use Chiron in transits. I do use it in the natal chart though, like I do use it in natal chart readings, but I don't use it in transits unless it is a conjunction with an important planet. So once planets go into Aries, and it will happen eventually this year, obviously, things will be coming up, themes will be coming up regarding healing, right? Regarding some pain, some shame that we may be experiencing in a certain area of life. And this new moon is going to be directly connected to our pain. It's going to serve as a trigger for some painful experiences that we may have had in the recent past, or maybe in a distant past. Because if we think about it, Chiron, it does spend quite a lot of time in the sign of Aries, and it's been there since 2018. So whatever that issue has been since 2018 in that area of life that we'll be discussing for each ascendant, this is where a situation will be triggered. What kind of situation? Well, maybe a desire to finally be done and over with this pain, right? You will want to heal that wound. You will want to maybe even help others heal their wounds that are very similar to what you have experienced in your past. It's definitely a triggering new moon for our pain, for our past traumas, for even some unfortunate events that could have happened to us and we haven't quite healed from them yet. However, this new moon is also allowing you to, I shouldn't say allowing, more like pushing you to speak up, because it is in the conjunction with Mercury. Speak up about your wounds, speak up about what has been bothering you, what has been hurting you, right? So you can move on from this situation. And since Mercury is so close to the sun and the moon, it is under the sun's influence. It's burning under the influence of the sun. And I find that to be, on one hand, very direct. And sometimes we do need that, if we have to resolve a conflict, for example, but we're very passive about it, this is helpful to us. But on the other hand, It can lead us to protest. It can lead us to say something that we either don't quite mean or something that we might regret later, right? Considering that Mercury is in Aries, it's in a fire sign, it really wants to take action, it really wants to speak up. And while we will be speaking up about our wounds, we will be potentially dealing with people that have given us those wounds. On the other hand, I highly encourage to really watch your mouth around this time, because yes, it can be something that we may say and it might be misunderstood. There may also be some maybe news coming around to us that we're going to be dealing with, but the information isn't quite full, isn't quite clear, right? And we still yet have to wait for more. Because Mercury is, I would say, almost damaged in this position. So that's what I had to add about this new moon. So while, yes, on one hand, in Aries, in the cardinal sign, it does mean new beginnings and taking action, and you're the one that's going to be starting these new beginnings. But on the other hand, it is about what kind of new beginnings, right? Well, it is about healing our wounds. It's about a trigger that may come up in a certain area of life that will push us to speak up about this wound, to maybe experience that pain in some way again, right? Because it is a trigger. But that will lead us to work on that issue and heal from it. And we will be given 6 months to do it. Okay? So that's what I wanted to say before I move on to the signs. Let's move on to Aries. So Aries, you've got your new moon in the first house, especially if you are Aries ascendant. If you are Aries sun, I highly recommend finding your ascendant and watching a video for your ascendant as well, because if you are Aries sun, unless you have ascendant in Aries and sun in Aries, you will probably experience your Aries new moon in a different area of life, okay? However, it's pretty easy here with the first house because it can literally be anything in your chart. Like, it can be any area of life. First house is also opposite of the 7th house, so it's not just a new beginning for you, right? It is also a new beginning maybe in your partnership sector. I want to say it may be triggered by other people, this new beginning. So what can you expect? I would say that you may have an urge around this new moon to speak up to those that you've been dealing with. And these are one-on-one relationships. These are colleagues, friendships, these are romantic relationships, of course. But you really feel like speaking up and telling them that they have hurt you in the past. And Chiron being in the first house, especially for Aries ascendant, that's a painful experience. And, Chiron does not bring pain. Chiron brings realization that this is where we got hurt. And it almost makes us face it, right? So in the first house, there could be difficulty accepting yourself, difficulty respecting yourself, having a hard time either trusting yourself or trusting others. There is the energy of having low self-esteem potentially. There is also the energy of having low self-esteem because somebody has ruined it for you out of these friendships, partnerships, right? Whoever that is in the 7th house, opposite of the new moon. And this is time to speak up. And it could be, honestly, speak up to anybody, just because, again, first house, any area of life, literally. But it will be big for you. It will be big for you, and if it's, let's say, falling on around your birthday, right, 1st of April, then I didn't even say when it's going to happen. 1st of April, guys. So you will be experiencing this type of energy throughout the whole solar year, if it falls on April 1st and if this is when your birthday is. So instead of 6 months from now, you could be achieving that healing progress, right, of your soul for a whole year instead of just 6 months. But I think it will be a very therapeutic new moon for you, even though you may feel triggered by certain people, by certain events. You may feel like you need to really get the point across, and you will. But I would honestly encourage you to just be more diplomatic around this new moon, at least for the first few days. Because also Mars is going to conjunct Saturn like literally 4 days later, so 5 days later. So you do want to be careful with what you say. But I also want to encourage you to be honest and to talk it out, because the whole point here is to heal the wounds. And also you could even meet a person, or you could just be dealing with a person. You could be dealing with a person around the time of the new moon, that needs your help, that needs your guidance, that has potentially experienced something similar in the past, like you did. And now you can be that healer to the person. You can be the teacher to the person. So that's what I have to say about this, dear Aries. And now I'm moving on to Taurus. So you've got your new moon in the 12th house on April 1st. And 12th house is tough, right? Because this is exactly that place where we collect, where we gather all the negative experiences in our life. With this new moon, you can realize how dark maybe your past has been up until now, how painful, how depressing certain situations were in your past. And even though you may be over them now, right, you're not dealing with the same situations. However, there could be pain left. It could be coming up constantly from your subconscious, right, 12th house. You could be dreaming about it at night. It could be that feeling of loneliness, possibly, that has been lingering, right, because of certain experiences that were happening in your past. And some of them could be even hidden. Maybe your social circle, maybe your parents, your friends don't even know about the events that were happening with you and how dark potentially your past has been. If you were involved in any kind of illegal activity, this can also come up around this time. But I do think that since, Chiron is about healing and healing psychological wounds and emotional wounds, I don't think it's about any kind of illegal activity. I'm pretty sure that it is regarding healing depression, healing that feeling of loneliness, healing those traumas that have been gathering in the 12th house for you from the past. You will want to speak up. You will want to talk it out, right? You will want to let people know now what it is that has been so painful in your life. Yeah, you definitely could speak up, because new moon in the 12th house, while it does indicate some kind of project that you may start working on and will complete it in 6 months, and it will come up, you will show it to the world in 6 months. Yes, it can play out this way too, and it will be healing for you. It will be useful for your soul, for your psychological state. But on the other hand, this could be something that you're finally speaking up about around this new moon that you couldn't before, because anything that's in the 12th house it's hidden. It's hidden from the public, it's hidden from most people, and now it's time to expose it in a way, because that's what can heal your soul. So that's what I have for you, dear Taurus, and I hope that this was helpful. And now we're moving on to Gemini. Hi, Gemini. So your new moon is happening in the 11th house on April 1st, and this one is going to be a little bit easier for you. It is in the 11th house. It is making a good aspect to you, to your ascendant. And here, there is some kind of trauma involved regarding your friendships, regarding groups of people, maybe large audiences. Sometimes it comes from the past of bullying by large groups, by friends or so-called friends, right? Conflicts with people, conflicts with just larger groups of people. And it could come up again in some way. There could be a trigger that comes around this new moon that makes you want to speak up to the groups, makes you want to be open about how you've been feeling possibly, or wants you to speak up about the traumas that you've received in the past by a certain community. And on the other hand, though, how this can play out is that you are going to find the community that you know you belong to with all your heart, with all your soul. You will understand how healing this community is to you mentally, right? Because maybe they offer great advice. Maybe you're just distracted. You know, you are feeling like home with them, and maybe they distract you from the pain of life. And this community feels right, this community feels like family, and you are willing to continue with this group, with this friend, whoever this is. It could be one friend or it could be a community, right? But this way you are healing your wounds connected to other people, because you are opening yourself up to this new group, and it could actually bring some really positive results in the next 6 months. And they could be connected to maybe some kind of a useful project that you and the group are going to create together. It could be that self-healing that we've talked about, you know, thanks to Chiron, because of the group. Or it could be you being able to speak up for the group, maybe defend the group as well. Very interesting, guys. And now we're moving on to Cancer. Hi, Cancer. So your new moon is happening in the 10th house on April 1st, and that's a big one for you. That one is very important. And I would say that in the 10th house, this is the highest part of our chart, the top. And there could be some trauma involving your reputation, your status, your career. Maybe there was a situation in the past where you were trying to climb that ladder and you fell, right? Maybe you've lost a job. Maybe you just don't feel like you're successful in whatever endeavors you have going on. You may feel like something has damaged your public image, right? Maybe you feel like you're not accepted by authorities. You're not accepted by maybe a parental figure, by the government, whatever that may be, you know. But in the 10th house with Chiron, it's like the house of success, the house of highest achievements. And with Chiron, a person doesn't quite feel successful. You know, there is some pain, there is some shame also attached to it. You know, maybe shame because you couldn't succeed in the past, or maybe someone really hurt you in your career, like a competitor, or maybe someone didn't believe in you, right? But what can this bring? Well, first of all, Mercury wants to speak up. Mercury wants to speak up, and Mercury wants to take action towards improving your career at any cost. It wants you to be honest, it wants you to be direct. Maybe it is a time to, by the way, it is actually a good time for interviews, job interviews, right? If you are applying for new jobs and if you are concerned about an interview coming up, I do think that Mercury in Aries can bring you that courage, can bring you that ambition and very straightforward nature, right? When you are being interviewed, when you have to speak up, you could be defending your position at work. You know, you could be proving yourself somehow to the authorities, to the bosses. However, I also want you to keep in mind that Mercury is damaged by the sun. It's combusted by the sun. Combust, I don't know. But it is damaged. So while it is an Aries and it's very direct and straightforward, right, it can also be spontaneous. So make sure that you watch your mouth around this date. Make sure that you are careful with what you say, and yet be brave as well, because you will have the opportunity. And this could be the time where you can greatly heal your career, where you can greatly heal your public image, where you can defend yourself, stand your ground, and earn that place back. And not just at work, but here, you know, when you're like, yeah, I am successful, I knew it all along, you know, it's like I've done it, I've done it, and there is no need for me to be ashamed. I think that's what this new moon can be about, and it can manifest within 6 months, not just a day, you know, the 1st of April, or any other time right after, right? It can take 6 months to defend your place in this society in a way, right? But you will be successful. It will come with you to you with a little bit of a challenge, right? But as long as you keep going, you should be good. Thank you, Cancer. Now we're moving on to Leo. Hi, Leo. So your new moon is happening in the 9th house on April 1st, and this one is good. It's a positive one. I feel like with Chiron in the 9th, it is about losing faith and losing hope. There is some kind of trauma, psychological trauma involved, maybe with the lack of faith that you have had. And it's not necessarily something that you are ashamed of. It could be, but at the same time, it's more like you just couldn't believe in anything. You couldn't believe in yourself. You couldn't believe in the future. You could not believe in God and higher power of any kind. Nothing, right? And there could also be a case with possibly education, right? So something here did not quite work out for you in the past. Maybe you didn't graduate, right? You wanted to, but couldn't possibly, and there is shame attached to it in some way. It could be also trauma, psychological trauma connected to someone or something foreign. Yeah, like it could be maybe memories of a certain person, right? Of a from a different country, for example. Like there is a connection to something foreign, but at the same time there is trauma connected to this foreign situation, person, whatever that might be. And with Chiron and Mercury and the new moon, you know, all together, this combination wants you to start healing those wounds. You may get triggered around this new moon, but you will get triggered to speak up. You know, when it's almost like a psychological technique, right? When we are suffering, we need to talk to someone about it. We need to release what's been building up inside. And this is kind of one of those new moons. So I would advise to be open about what bothers you. And since this will be unfolding possibly for 6 months, not just on the day of the new moon, right? But it can take much longer, months. You could actually end up by the end of the 6-month mark with faith in the future, with belief in higher power, with possibly going back to school, right? Because it could also be connected to education. Maybe forgiving that foreign land, foreign person, or whoever has hurt you here that's different from you in some way, right? And usually it's because they're foreign. A legal matter, you know, there could be a trigger around this new moon if you've been involved in a legal matter. There could be some news that may come around about you needing to take action, you needing to speak up, you needing to, for example, go to an interview, right? And then it should all be resolved. So yeah, I hope that this was helpful, guys. And now we're moving on to Virgo. Hi, Virgo. So your new moon is happening in the 8th house on April 1st. 8th house is a very deep, deep psychological place, and to be honest with you, I feel like there is so much here. There is so much that you poor Virgos are healing from, you know, because 8th house, it collects all the dirt. Like it collects all the traumas. It collects all the secrets, all everything that's like dirty, kind of, you know, it accumulates all of that, and it's usually something that we don't want to face. It's something that scares us. It's something that puts us in the bad mental mindset. I mean, bad mindset. And here you may actually get triggered around the time of the new moon to go ahead and start working with these demons, to start working with this dirt. And how could that be? You know, since 8th house does rule psychologists, psychiatrists, maybe it could be a really good time to visit one. Because what can be very helpful is talking about the issue openly with someone, being able to release it, right? Being able to release something that's been building up forever. And this new moon could lead you to a good professional, you know, to a psychiatrist, to a psychologist who could really help you. Also, since this is a new moon, it is time for you to act. Well, first of all, like I said, this could be healing of the wounds, you know, working with the professional. This could also be maybe healing from some sexual trauma, right? And I'm not going to say what it could be. It can obviously be something very severe to something that is like shame, kind of connected to sex, right? Connected to intimacy. And this can also come up around new moon, and it can be a trigger, but it's also a trigger for you to finally get it over with and move on from it and forget about it, or not forget about it, but at least not suffer from it anymore, not suffer from this experience, not suffer from this shame, right? On the other hand, how this can play out is that you will notice that there are major changes happening in your partner's finances. And it could be possibly something that has been a struggle in your partner's life, and you're seeing it transform over time. However, you will have 6 months to transform everything, to heal, to come out almost like a new transformed person, right? Because 8th house does transform us. 8th house makes sure that we come out of the water clean eventually. So yeah, guys, I hope that this was helpful. And now we're moving on to Libra. Hi, Libra. So your new moon is happening in the 7th house on April 1st. Very important new moon for you. You're damaged in some way. You are hurt. You are suffering because of the relationship, either a specific relationship in your life. I keep getting heartburn every time I talk to the camera for a while. It's I don't know where it's coming from. So you know, you are damaged by a person, by a specific person. It could be a romantic partner, it could be anybody really, a friend, a business partner, even a relative. And it's painful. It's painful because you feel like it traumatized you for life. It traumatized you in a way where maybe you don't trust your relationships, your new relationships. You don't trust new people that come into your life. You feel hurt by people. You know, it's like those interactions with other people, they seem to be triggering for you in some way. Obviously, to a certain degree, you know, not every interaction is bad or triggering. So here, I believe the theme is to be able to speak up about the issue, about this relationship issue. If, for example, you had an ex-partner that hurt you, and now you are in a new relationship, you may feel very tempted to kind of be afraid of the same things that your ex has done, right? It's kind of like the chain. But with the new moon, it is about time to transform this pain and not drag it into your new relationships, and not have other people kind of suffer because of this issue, if that makes sense. Because you don't want to put blame of someone else onto the new person. They don't quite deserve it, right? On the other hand, how this can play out is that you may actually speak up to the person that has been in some way hurting you. You may finally open your mouth to them, and you may be really straightforward and very honest about what has been bothering you this whole time, how they have been treating you this whole time. This is big. And for some people, maybe it can play out within the next few days, weeks, and for others, this could take 6 months until the relationship situation is finally resolved for good. But also in this house, you could actually heal someone else. You could become a teacher, a healer, a psychologist to someone that needs that help now. For example, I don't know, I'm just bringing an example. You've been cheated on, right? And it was horrible. Now you are meeting someone that is going through that process right now and is suffering. And you are serving, you serve as this healer to them, teacher, right? Or just a good friend who is able to share their experience with the person and help them on this painful journey. So this is how it can play out, guys. Very interesting. I do want to encourage you to be diplomatic if that truth wants to come out, right? And it can with Mercury being so close to the sun. You may be way too direct and kind of harsh with your words. So try to be more diplomatic. Try to take the opposite side of the signs, right? Instead of Aries, fiery Aries, right? You gotta be Libra as you are, diplomatic, soft. I think then the energies will really neutralize the potential conflict that may arise. However, I also want to encourage you to be brave, right? Because the whole point here is to speak up, just in a careful way. But I hope you guys found this helpful, and now we're moving on to Scorpio. Hi, Scorpio. So your new moon is happening in the 6th house on April 1st. So there may be some traumas connected to your health. For example, it could also be shame, which is interesting, connected to your health. For example, you've had plenty of time, you didn't use it to your advantage, you know, kept maybe eating unhealthy or didn't want to work out, whatever that may have been, right? But in some way has damaged your health and your self-esteem, or maybe just your habits. Like you are so used to a certain pattern that it's really hard for you to reestablish it, right? It's really hard for you to start something new, and you understand that the old habits are kind of unhealthy. And yet you have nothing, you can't really change much here. It could be connected to that, and this new moon is going to want you to start acting on this issue and establish that foundation that you have created for yourself in your daily life. So maybe it will be a new routine for you that will kind of force you to get on track with your goals, whether it is to lose weight, gain weight, I don't know, maybe to start working out again. But there is, for some reason, some either shame or pain connected to it. And I'm not talking about physical pain right now, like for example your muscles hurting, your joints hurting, your finger hurting, right? But more like maybe some severe health issues, immune system issues, right? And overall just your lifestyle. That could be a source of pain for you and struggle in some way. But new moon comes up so that you can take care of it now, and you will have 6 months to do it. On the other hand, how this can play out is work. There is something here connected to work that is damaging, and damaging you emotionally, mentally. Like, I don't know, maybe the group of people that you work with on the daily basis, they're toxic, right? They're snakes or whatever you want to call them, and you really dread that time at work. Again, Mercury here in the conjunction with the new moon wants you to speak up, but be mindful of how you speak up around this time, because Mercury is damaged by the sun, and Mercury is in the fire sign and in Aries, you know, the cardinal sign. It wants to be very open-minded, not open-minded, no, very straightforward, very direct and kind of harsh sometimes too, because it doesn't quite think before it says things. And I'm not talking about everybody that has Mercury in Aries, okay? I'm talking about Mercury in Aries, how it relates to the situation currently. So for you here, you need to be diplomatic in how you go about these situations and who you speak up to. Just, I'm encouraging you to be diplomatic, but at the same time, I would like to advise for you to be brave, because you do need to work some issues out here. Chiron is showing where you've got issues, where you've got some pain going on, something damaged, right? And you will have 6 months to fix that damage. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Sagittarius. Hi Sagittarius, so your new moon is happening in the 5th house on April 1st. For you guys, this isn't really a bad one. You know, for you, it really is going to promote some nice healing energy. And there's some kind of trauma sitting in your 5th house connected to possibly your self-expression. Maybe you had a hard time in the past few years potentially to really fully express yourself how you want. Maybe you felt judged. Maybe, I don't know, your relatives, like your parents, didn't quite accept the way you tried to express yourself. Maybe it is about creative projects, right? Creativity. Maybe you had a hard time expressing that to the world. You felt like your creativity was blocked, maybe because of your job, maybe because of the society, right? You couldn't quite open up here. Also, of course, there could be traumas related to relationships, to sex, to dating. The 5th house is quite relationship, you know, like commitment, but it is a start. And it does eventually go into the 7th house and then into the 8th house, right? If the relationship is worthy. And 5th house here, yes, there could be some trauma related to intimacy, shame related to intimacy, and also just to the partners that you used to attract. And with Mercury conjuncting new moon, you have a chance to speak up now. You have a chance to express yourself. You have a chance to heal yourself and be you, finally, in a certain area of life. And open up to a person that maybe has been wasting your time, right? Open up to someone that has been mistreating you, maybe just using you for intimacy, using you for money, right? Whatever that might be, you can speak up here, guys. But keep in mind that Mercury is damaged right now, and it's in Aries. It's like really in your face. So I would encourage you to be diplomatic. But at the same time, I want to encourage you to be brave, because you will have that chance to speak up, to fix the situation. You will be given 6 months to do so. However, on the other hand, you know, I do know that this could lead to major conflicts as well, depending on how you stand your ground, how you defend yourself. Be firm, be brave, but also be diplomatic around this time, because a trigger probably will happen, again, regarding your love life, regarding your self-expression. Maybe there's some trauma connected to children. Not gonna go into that, you know, but you understand what I'm trying to say here. There is some pain, struggle, and it will be worked on, which is really nice. But that's all I have for you guys, and now we're moving on to Capricorn. So Capricorn, your new moon is happening in Aries in the 4th house on April 1st. This is a big one for you, just like it is for Libra and Cancer. So guys, for you, 4th house, there seems to be trauma connected to family, trauma connected to parents, trauma connected to your childhood home, to your childhood generally. Like Chiron in the 4th, that's literally childhood traumas. You know, a lot of times that's exactly how it manifests. I have it in my natal chart, in the 4th house, which I wouldn't say that my childhood was horrible or anything like that, but I definitely have some traumas from there, some dark times. But here it's working as a transit, and there could be some traumas that just stuck with you, memories from the past connected to your family, connected to your home, connected to the private life, that just stuck with you. And it may be time to speak up with Mercury conjuncting this new moon. There may be time to open up, to really be direct with your family, to heal the wound that may have been caused to the people that are the closest to us, right? It's a very sensitive, it's a very vulnerable position in the chart, you know, the fourth house. And you really... it could be psychologically difficult to try and even step up, you know, to try and speak up. And new moon is making a square to you, meaning that it's more challenging kind of for you than it would be for any other sign. So you may feel like here's the time to speak up, here's the time to be brutally honest. But at the same time, Mercury is damaged and in Aries, and it can be harsh. So my advice here is to be extremely diplomatic with the family members, right? Or with any area of life that's kind of hidden, but there is trauma sitting there. Whoever you need to speak up to around this time, you will have the urge and you will have the trigger. Talk to them, but try and be diplomatic and at the same time be brave. You want to be brave around this time because you want this to heal. You want to let this go eventually, right? But before you let it go, it has to be talked through. And this is kind of the point of new moon, you know, to face that trauma, to talk it out, and to let go finally. Because if we keep collecting it inside, if we keep accumulating all the painful stuff, how can we release it? We need to talk about it, right? So within the next 6 months, I'm sure that you will be able to heal most of it, if not all of it. It's almost like, from what I'm seeing here, it almost seems like the whole family will heal somehow. There will be healing to the family situation. So I think that the outcome is beautiful here. But yeah, I hope you guys found this helpful. And now we're moving on to Aquarius. Hi Aquarius, so your new moon is happening in your 3rd house. There could be trauma, painful memories, triggers, suffering related to early education, like when usually a child is about 7 years old and up. There is something here connected to the past that's super triggering. You know, the first thing that comes to my mind is bullying. Bullying in early school, right? In elementary school and middle school, possibly. You know, kids maybe were harsh, or there could be maybe some traumas connected to your relatives, not necessarily your parents, more like your relatives, you know, maybe your siblings, maybe aunts, uncles, and so on. There is some trauma, or there is some very unpleasant energy connected to some of these people. And now there is a trigger that may come up around this new moon to try and to speak up. Not to try, actually, it will be easy to speak up here because Mercury is damaged, really close to the sun, and Mercury is in the sign of Aries, which is in your face. So you gotta understand that you will have a very strong urge to speak up to someone here, someone close to you, right? But at the same time, or maybe it could be talking to a psychologist, talking to a friend about this issue, right? About bullying potentially, or maybe some insecurities connected to education. Maybe you don't feel like you are successful enough because you haven't got enough education, right? Maybe you don't have this diploma, this certification, and you feel kind of bad about it, you know, but because it's needed for your career progress, for example. But it is going to be very helpful to speak it out with either a psychologist, a friend, a sibling, right? It will be a very good time to talk the issue out with the person that maybe has hurt you in the past, that has bullied you or has traumatized you in some way. But be mindful, like I said, you know, because Mercury can make it very direct and harsh, you want to be diplomatic around this new moon. You want to take on qualities of Libra, the opposite sign of Aries, to smooth out the corners rather than to make it harsh, because the energies are already going to be kind of challenging. But on the other hand, I'm encouraging you to also be brave, because without stepping up, without speaking up, you will not be able to heal from this. However, you will have 6 months to do it, and I think that you will do just fine, dear Aquarius. And thank you so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Pisces. Hi Pisces. So your new moon in the sign of Aries is happening in your second house on April 1st. Wow, so this is about a financial situation here, that there is trauma connected to your finances. It's also obviously very directly connected to your self-esteem, and there seems to be this problem with your self-esteem because you don't make enough money, because you're insecure about your income, you're insecure about the numbers in your bank account, you're insecure because you can't afford certain things, right? And there seems to be this burden, this suffering, because it feels like no matter what you try, it's like you're damaged by your finances. Not your reputation, but more like your self-esteem is damaged by your finances. And here around the new moon, you may just be like, screw everything, enough is enough, I am taking action. And with Mercury here, that action could manifest. The only thing is that Mercury is damaged, right, by Sun, and it is in Aries, which is a very direct, straightforward energy, very spontaneous. And while it can be good in certain situations, you know, it's actually good to like start new projects and be active and be ambitious and all that, be full of energy. But at the same time, you don't want to rush with anything either. You don't want to speak up and say things that you may regret later. So I would encourage you to be very diplomatic around this new moon with your goals, with the conversations that you may be having with other people. And of course, on the other hand, I'm encouraging you to be brave, because without speaking up about this financial issue, you will not be able to heal it, you will not be able to move on, right? You'll not be able to get over it. So you will have to speak up, you will have to take action. You will be given 6 months to do it. So that's plenty of time to change your financial situation, to maybe add a new source of income, to remove the source of income that is only damaging you, damaging your resources. Maybe you put in more than you get out, right? It's like uneven on the scale. So you don't want to deal with that anymore. And that will be a transformation to your finances, to not just your finances, but also directly to your self-esteem, because in this case, it seems to be very strongly connected, guys. But I hope that you found this reading helpful. Yes, it's a crazy new moon in a way, but at the same time, it encourages us to finally speak up about our issues, because if we don't, we cannot move forward. But I hope that, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.